This will take a while. Look, I have one queued up. Publisher contracts. Here, we'll change the stream info. Waiting for shaders to compile. Lol. Beautiful. I feel like this one was relevant considering some of our recent talks, and people, always ask. I mean, publishers do get a bad reputation in the industry. I have some problems with publishers in the industry. But it's good to know, what they do, right? Because people always ask, do you need a publisher? Well, I think I can self-publish my game. Like, well, yeah, but do you actually know what a publisher does? Do you know how many different ways they can help you? And maybe this is what Tim Cain will talk about. I don't know. But we'll see. Because we have to wait for 7,000 shaders to compile. Might as well do a reaction, right? All right, Tim, take it away. Publisher contracts.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Today I want to talk about contracts.
Yeah.
Specifically, the contracts you make with publishers to make games. And this is a response to TS7901, who said, I would like to hear more of the business side of your stories. So here we go. Now, let me put a big caveat at the beginning of this. Bear in mind, I don't think I'm a good businessman.
Me neither.
I do not think that I particularly ran the side of Troika well, and not like the accounting, paying bills side, but the dealing with publishers and getting good contract side. So
it's a whole different skill set when dealing with that. It's called like biz dev, business development, and yeah, it requires a whole different set of skills to communicate with them. Almost absent. I was halfway through typing. How big does a game need to be for a publisher to be helpful? A publisher can be helpful at any size. I mean, really, they can do so many different things. Even if you're some tiny little indie game, but you don't know how to port your game to the Nintendo Switch, for instance, you could have a publisher help you with porting the game, or just to help with marketing, doing anything. And the variance in contract types and the requests that they'll have and little loopholes they might have to fuck you over, or not, right? It comes in all different shapes and sizes depending on the project and depending on the type of work that they need to do for you. It's more like, hey, our business offers all these services. Which ones do you want? Oh, you don't need these 3, but you want these 2. Okay, we can do that.
a lot of this with a grain of salt, but also take it with from the view that I often think I learn more from failure than success.
Yes.
And I pretty much failed here. So I know some things to look out for. But anyway, let me start by talking about publishers.
He's got a good check on his ego.
Publishers are not your enemy. I know a lot of you like to immediately take the employer bad, publisher bad, everything bad side. So let me just say, they're not your enemy. They are your partners. You are trying to make a product with them.
You can have good partners, you can have bad partners.
However, they're not your friend. They're not, even though they may try to say things like, yeah, well, we're just friends here. Can't you just add this feature? Can't you just do this? They're not your enemy. They're not your friend. They're your business partners. As a business partner, they're trying to spend the least amount of money for the most amount of product. That just makes sense. You do that yourself when you shop. And if you look at a price, if you decide between two products based on price, you're doing it. So just bear in mind, though, that there are other things that should factor in, like quality and convenience. And these are things that should factor in to the contract. If they're coming to you because they know you're good at this particular genre of thing, and they want a high quality game, or you already have an engine for this, you've already done a game similar to it, you have people already on staff that know how to do this, that's convenience. They should be paying for that. They should be paying for experience and for speed, or whatever it is they're trying to ask for.
That's a really good way to put it too, is that is your negotiation, is that, no, we know how to make this type of game. We have experience making games. We're not asking for this amount of money. This is not some big risk for you. We know how to make games, and you can either make money with us, or we can go make somebody else, a lot of money with this game. This guy's some famous game dev? Yes. or he just knows a lot. Both. Both. Yeah, you're looking at the guy who worked on the original Fallout, as well as many other games.
So this, when you go back and forth with them, just know that other things should factor in other than price, money. Also, they will want to own everything. They want to own the code, the art, the entire intellectual property rights.
It's not always true anymore. That used to be very true. It's becoming less common, and it really depends on the type of game you're making. Most indie games, you can go to a publisher, like an indie publisher, and they will not seek the IP. But the bigger the studio you go with, like if you go and you sell your idea to Ubisoft or EA or to Sony or Microsoft, with Xbox, most likely they're going to ask for the IP because they know that they have a huge reach. They very, very carefully pick the games that they publish. And if they publish the game, they're going to want to make sequels because that's just how they make a lot of money, right? They know the game was successful. Well, if we make another game like that in the same series, we know it's going to be successful too. It's easy. Easy, how you doing? Going good today. We're waiting for some shaders to compile. And just reacting to publisher contract video.
Future rights to things to be done with the IP if they don't own it, and I'll talk about that. So these are things you can negotiate. You can keep one and not the other, and these are things that you should try to do. One last thing about publisher before I move on.
So your title about ask? No, you can ask questions. Go for it. We just changed it so that it was more like if people come in saying, why aren't you working on a game? We can just say, okay, we're waiting for some shaders to compile. Yeah.
From that, and I'll talk.
But you throw the question in, and we can get to it either after the video or whatever.
More about how to negotiate for things other than money. Keep in mind that they're going to handle things that you can't handle or don't want to handle.
Yes.
And those are things like localization into other languages, marketing, especially world marketing, because you'll have to have ads in different languages, and also different things can be in those ads, and their marketing department should know all this. However, what publishers bring to the table is less than they used to. Like, they used to handle printing the boxes and the discs and distributing them to physical stores, and that's just not done anymore. So
it's still done, but because physical distribution is less common now, it's digital distribution. There are still the last big game that I worked on, we had physical versions of the game that you might be able to find in a store around you. There weren't that many copies made, but it was made. I have a PlayStation 5 and PC copy of it, so it still happens, but he's right. It's not nearly as common as it used to be with massive distribution into Walmart and Target and GameStop and all these other companies around the world. So yeah, he's right that they used to handle more, but also to some extent they're handling more now, because now it's like, okay, when physical distribution was more common, they weren't doing online marketing and media stuff. But now, because all that is way more common and E3 is not really a thing anymore, now it's all about making good clips, making good videos, getting those up on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, all this stuff. So he's right that they're not doing the same stuff as they used to be, but I don't want to say they're doing less. They're just doing different things.
So they bring less to the table than they used to, and you should be aware of that.
But also, he has more experience, so maybe he's referring to other things that I don't know about too.
Finally, though, bear in mind, they're paying you. They're giving you money.
Yes.
So you will have to give up some things.
Yep.
Like, you're not autonomous. If you make this with your own dime, you can decide to do whatever you want. But you're going to have to give up some of that decision making if you want them to pay you. So this is how I kind of view pubs. Not an enemy, not a friend. They're a business partner. So when you negotiate with them, keep in mind that you want to negotiate for more than just money. You want to keep some of the things that are up for negotiation. Like I mentioned, like you may want to keep the code or the art, or you may own the intellectual property. Maybe you own the intellectual property, but they have the right to make the sequel.
Yep, and we've talked about that on exactly for Microraptor. I can show you guys. That's something we put in our needs for publishing. I do it in this one. So our publishing needs. We want to retain IP to all titles, but can agree to first publishing rights for sequels and spin-offs. It's exactly that. And that's a really nice way to do it because that basically just says the thing is, this is really good for us. You know why? Because we make a good game, right? But our publisher, we don't like. Let's just say theoretically. Well, we can just pitch them the sequel for like $100 million. Okay, do you want the sequel to it? $100 million. And now they're not going to give it to us, right? But that just means we can then go to another publisher. So this is a way for us to safeguard ourselves with, if we like working with you, you will have contractually the first eyes on our sequel. And if we don't, then we'll just ask you for $100 million. And, you're not going to pay it, of course, so we'll go somewhere else. Maybe I should be saying that on stream. But you know what? Fuck it. It is what it is. You just need to know that's how it works in the industry. And of course, some other things that we have requirements for. I've had some bad experiences with seeing publishers own socials and communities, and they either just like they don't do anything with it. Like they'll start the Discord server for the game, and then they will barely do anything with it. And then if you want to merge that somewhere else, or you want to change some of the layout, you need to ask their permission first. And it's like, what the fuck? This is our game. This is our company. No, we own it.
The first sequel. So they're getting, in paying you to make this game, yeah, you own the intellectual property, but the first sequel will be made by them if they want it. And I'll talk about that. In the past, we've managed to do that. I've mentioned that for Arcanum at Troika, for the very first game we made with Sierra, we owned the code. They owned the IP and all the artwork, which is why I can't use any of that. But we owned the code. And that turned out to be extraordinarily useful when we got approached.
Yeah, I can imagine, because you can then, let's say we want to make like a string of alchemy games, but we want to do it different than Cauldron Chronicles, right? The benefit of owning the code is that we can take the systems that we've made, the code that we've made, and transfer it to other games, and that doesn't break the contract. It doesn't infringe because we own that. So it's a completely different game, but it has the same alchemy system. Yeah, actually, no, I never really thought about it that way, but that's a really good thing to ensure, is that we own the code and owning the artwork. So for instance, if we wanted to make, if we wanted to reuse textures that we had already made, which I don't think gamers should be upset that developers do. We'll let this handle it. Reusing textures saves a lot of development time. And if we have to remake all these materials over and over again because we're selling them to the publisher along with the deal, that can really hinder our future game development. I should write that down. And put it in our pitch deck. Can't imagine writing code for years selling the game and not being able to use that in another game, right? Yeah, I just didn't think about that. I don't know. It's just you don't think that low level and how it's going to benefit you. But yeah, it makes complete sense.
By Atari to make a D&D game because we already had an isometric engine and a ton of points hooking into it for doing RPG systems. So we just removed the Arcanum rules and added D&D.
I will say too, if we own the code and art, what it means is that we can allow our workers, our employees, to throw that into their portfolios, for instance. And we know for sure that that's not going to cause some strife between us and a publisher of the game that we make. And we would do that, of course, right? So it's like, you made this code. If you want to show it off in your portfolio, go for it. Fuck it. I'm all for that. That's why we have, on here too, like we have minimal NDAs. And the way that I explain that to, prospective employees or to publishers is that we don't want to limit our employees from being excited and talking about the games that they're making. We stream the development of our games. If they want to share an asset they're working on, if they want to stream themselves working on the game, go for it. The only time I might have a problem with that is if we were trying to keep something secret, like a secret level that we wanted players to find. I'd prefer to, you can show this on your portfolio, but let's wait until players find it first, and then we can, openly share it. That's the only time I would do it, but not because it would, I was trying to hold back something from the employees.
And boom, we had Temple. Yes, it wasn't that easy, but it was easier than starting from scratch. So
Yeah,
just
true.
be aware that when you negotiate, try to keep some things and when you give up others. Now, I do want to talk about two things that you should be super, super, super cautious about, which I messed up on. So
Okay,
you need to
let's
watch
listen
this.
in.
First of all, be aware of the keyman clause. And I Googled it. It is called keyman. It probably be called key person. But
Keyman
the
clause.
keyman clause is a list of people by name that are required to be working on this project and only this project. This is not a
I've never heard of
non-compete
this.
clause, which is when you leave a company, they can keep you from working on something similar or for a competitor. This is basically a contract that says when you're working on this, this is all you're going to work on.
I thought that was like not a non-compete, but there's a different word for it. I mean, I guess we kind of lump it into non-compete sometimes when we talk about it more casually. Interesting. Okay. Okay. What I can say though, just like off the cuff here, Microraptor won't have any non-compete. We will not be preventing people from working on other games. If anything, the most we would do is just, hey, we're working on an alchemy game. I would appreciate it if you didn't work on other alchemy games, But if you're looking to make some like side money working on some mobile game, or you're making your own projects, of course your own projects, go for it. And you know what? Show them to us because maybe we can build it into something bigger as a team and publish it on our own. But I've never heard of keyman clause. I've never heard it referred to it as that.
Now, keyman clauses are there for a reason. If you stop being on the project, the publisher can treat that as a breach. And a breach means the contract is over. They can walk away with anything that's already been done, and you may even have to pay a penalty. The reason I want you to avoid this at all costs is there's so much you can't control over keyman clauses. If they want to keyman one of your employees, you can't prevent the employee from quitting. You can try to throw more money at them. You can try to beg them to stay.
Yeah.
But if someone wants to leave, you have no control over it. And you can't sue them for the economic distress of they would cause by leaving. Well, you can sue them for anything, and you can try. But they didn't sign anything. You did. So be very careful signing away keyman contracts that have keyman clauses for anyone who's an employee. If it's a
I've never heard of that. That's pretty fucking scary if you ask me. I'm actually wondering now too if the game that I was working on as a lead, if we had a keyman clause and if I was on there. And I'll be honest, it maybe it did, because it would kind of make sense considering some of the decisions that were made and some of the ways that I was the carrot was dangled in front of me. Let's put it that way. But I'll tell you what, they never gave me the carrot.
FBI, open up!
I'm saying I don't know. I don't think that's a breach. Like, they can be mad at me if they want, though. I don't fuck them. You have to assassinate them. That's crazy, though, this keyman clause. I know that we talk about, like, Raw Fury a lot, right? Raw Fury's a pretty cool publisher. Made some pretty cool games. What they do is they share what their publishing agreements look like. in their developer resources section, which is really, really good. They have a pitch deck template and an example publishing agreement. I'd be very curious to see what this looks like. I wonder if I can download it. Is this all of it, or? Yeah, so this is a really useful thing, is that they have an example publishing agreement that they give to developers, which is awesome, and I'm really curious if they have something like that. Oh, term definitions is nice. A keyman clause is a provision in a venture capital agreement that specifies that the investor can back out of the deal if a key member of the company's management team, such as the CEO or CTO, leaves the company or becomes unable to perform their duties. Faith, grant a license. Marketing, competing games. Additional publishing rights, developer funding. Don't see it here. Material breach, delivery, events, and termination. Yeah, I don't see it here. But this is pretty interesting. I thought he explained it as you cannot work on another project. Yeah, he kind of mentioned that too, but maybe that's a specific provision that he's had to work with. Does Colton Chronicles use blockchain? No, it does not. We will never use blockchain. I understand the no-compete clause, kind of, and why it's there, but at the same time, I see it as a wild take. Like, if someone got offered a better job doing the same thing, couldn't take it due to that clause. Yeah, that's kind of scary. And I've never heard of this. I've never heard of me working on a game that had that. You just lost most of your followers? Why? By saying my game isn't blockchain, I've lost most of my followers? What? Why would that happen? It's almost 3 a.m. and just laying in bed and I can't even really do game dev. Oof. It's funny because I'm gonna say this. I started streaming today and we had what? Machine learning? What would I use machine learning on? Yeah, we had 333 followers, and oddly enough, we still have 333 followers. So, I think we're okay. I think we're doing okay. Why would I want blockchain? What does that benefit? What does blockchain and NFTs, how does that benefit my customers? How does that benefit the players? Machine learning, there is some application to it, but it depends on what it's used for. Like when players go onto Steam, right? Let's pretend Colton Chronicles is released on Steam, right? And they're like, okay, Colton Chronicles, $20-$30. Okay, that seems pretty reasonable. What does it have here? Okay, so it has no microtransactions. It has no loot boxes or anything. So I just buy the game and I get it? Okay, there's no DRM. I can cheat. Interesting. I mean, do you really think that they're going to be like... What is technically stopping you from adding a powered by blockchain? I mean, because there is no blockchain in it? But like, what does it do? What do the players of my game get from blockchain technology? Like, let's say they can buy my game on GOG, DRM free. They can share it with their friends if they want. And guess what? I'm going to release don't tell anyone, but I will release a pirated version of Colton Chronicles. Because if you're going to pirate it, I'd rather you get it from a safe source, right? That isn't going to steal your data or upload some viruses on your computer. Like, just enjoy the game. And if you can't afford it, at least play it and enjoy it and then buy it on sale in the future or something, right? And if you don't enjoy it, you didn't waste any money. So if they can get my game, DRM free, what does the blockchain do for them? I mean, you mentioned I've lost most of my followers, but I'm still sitting at 333, so BitConnect. Should release it for free? I don't want to release it for free. I'm just saying, because I can't. Like, this game is going to cost millions of dollars to make.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Did we? I'm not going to release it for free, but I will, talk with the publisher about saying, you know what? Somebody is going to upload a pirated version of our game. It's unstoppable. And I'm not going to add DRM like, easy anti-cheat or, what's the shitty one? De novo. I'm not going to have that. It's a waste of time. So, why don't we just release a pirated version of our game officially and say, you know what, if you can't afford it, and if you want to play more than our demo is going to have, just get it here, okay? Do it safely, and I hope you enjoy the game. And in the future, if it's on a sale, we would appreciate the support, but if not, that's your decision. You dig crypto on their PC while they play your game. Does it count as blockchain technology powered? Fucking Christ. A crazy take. It is. I'll say this. I don't believe people who pirate games are a lost sale. If somebody does not have the money to buy your game, but wants to play it, they will pirate it. They didn't have enough money to buy it in the first place. If somebody doesn't want to buy your game, but wants to play it, they will pirate it. And they were never going to buy your game in the first place. So, and the third major option is that if they want to try your game and you don't have a demo, even I pirate games to try them, to see if I like them. And if I do, then I end up buying them. So all I'm going to say is, okay, so let's just upload our own game for pirating. Let's have a really good demo. And let's just tell people that if you like the game, please consider supporting us in the future. Simple as that. And there we go. We make fans with people who can't afford our game, either at the moment or at all, and they will still say good things about our game and say good things about us because we didn't fuck them over. We didn't treat them as if they're slob for not being able to afford our game. God forbid you choose to buy food over our game. I don't know. Started games before because I couldn't afford it, right? Same. But if you make it easy and safe, then a lot more people will do it, yes. Stop pirating because I'd rather not deal with potential viruses. But the thing is, if we make a good game, people will support us. It's as simple as that. If our game is worth $20 to $30 and is priced ethically across all regions, people will buy it. And anyone who can't afford it is not a lost sale. I'd rather they buy food than buy our game. Start a free game for poor people government scheme. I was like 14, I got caught by my ISP for pirating I'm Sexy and I Know It. Like, bro, out of all the songs, they had to catch me on that one. Oof. Well, the thing is, the ISP only does it so that they can say, look, hey, big record chain, big, HBO, we're trying to do something. But it's like, they're not really going to do anything. They're going to go after the people uploading these things, not the people downloading them. It's a scare tactic. It would just be wasting their money. They'd have to go after like half of the entire country. Yeah, no, I agree. When I was like 14 and we got those two, my parents were like, why are you downloading things? And like, I was scared. But they're not going to go after it. They just do it as a scare tactic. So that they can tell HBO and all those places that they're like, hey, we're trying. But no, I'm saying this, and I will go over it even more. Oh, we don't have it here. It's in our game one. Hold on. Okay, this is the most crucial aspect. No loot boxes, no microtransactions, no NFTs, no blockchain, no premium currencies, no pay for convenience, none of that shit. It will never be in any of our games. We produce premium games, we sell them at ethical prices. You buy the game, you get the game. That's it. An easy transaction. Let's continue.
Fellow owner or founder of the company, okay. I mean, I still think you want to avoid it. If they absolutely demand this, then use that as leverage for other things. Maybe you get to keep the code or the
That's
art
true.
or
That's a good
the
point.
intellectual property rights. But
The thing is, if they ever, like, if we signed a publishing deal and they said, hey, if you end up leaving the company, that's going to be breach of contract, I will sign that because I'm not going anywhere. And like you said, we'll use it as leverage. And if there are other people that I know aren't going to go anywhere, we might do that. But I'd also just like to avoid that. It's good to know that there's something like that that might exist in the clause. So yeah. The thing about being from the shittier part of Europe is that nobody cares that you pirate stuff. Yeah, nobody gives a fuck.
if they want this, you've got to.
But I mean, Witcher 3 had this, right? Witcher 3 pirated Reddit. There was something that a developer said. CDPR employee on piracy. There's something about it. On May the 19th, CDPR will release a 1.01 patch that will contain numerous fixes and an exe file. That will be available from the Galaxy client. You can download the patch. This will be available to everybody, not just people who bought the game. Having said that, I would really like to encourage you buying the game. Firstly, it goes towards my salary, which you may probably not care about, Drew. Secondly, if you own the game, you'll receive 16 free DLCs, which contain tons of cool stuff. Yeah. I really do hope you enjoy the game, no matter if you buy it or not. I will, however, really personally appreciate it if you purchase it. That's the way to do it. All I want is for people to enjoy my game, and I understand that not everybody is going to purchase the game, and people might find ways to get it for cheaper. I'm okay with that as long as it's safe, right? And that's why I think that releasing our own game to be the safe choice when torrenting and wanting to get our game illegally is probably the best way to do it. Because then people can know, well, you know what? I can't afford it, but I want to enjoy it, and I know that I'm downloading it from a safe place that isn't going to fuck me over. And we're not going to change the version of the game if you torrent it. That's just a lot of work for no purpose, right? There's not going to be some bug that only exists in the torrented version. It's going to be the same thing. You get to enjoy it, play it, cheat it, do whatever you want.
Get something in exchange. Similarly, there's another clause that I was unaware of, but now I'm very aware of, called the last right of refusal. Last right, not first right. Last right of refusal means the publisher is allowed to, let's say you own the IP, but they have last right of refusal on the sequel. What that means is, if the game does really well and you want to make a sequel, they can match anyone's offer. They don't have to make the first offer, but they reserve the right to make the last offer. So after you collect all these offers from other publishers who may want to put out this game, they can offer something, and as long as it at least matches your best offer, they win automatically. It's part of.
Oh, I didn't know about this. Okay, I gotta be careful about that too. I mean, look, I'll put it this way. There's no way in hell am I signing a publishing agreement when it drops onto my desk, right? I'm gonna be reading it. I'm gonna be taking it to colleagues, to other owners of companies that I trust who have signed publishing agreements, and they can tell me any red flags they see. But it's good to know these things beforehand so that I can spot them, right? We put different prices on for different countries. Yes, 100%. And it's very important too that we do that. So we talked about it before on Steam, but let me pull up a game. Last Epoch is good. If you go to packages on SteamDB, you can check the Valve suggested price, which is the suggested price in the country according to purchasing power and currency conversion rates, right? And the closer that these are, the closer that the current price is in this column, right here, or I'll just do it this way. The closer that this column is to this column, the better. Anything that's red is bad, and anything that's green is good for you. So Last Epoch is generally priced pretty damn well across the world. A game was just under SteamDB, was it, Zeno? Let's click on yours. Where's yours? Is it Banana Shooter? Is this it? Tapple. Oh shit, dude, your game's popping off. Holy shit, 16,000 players. Congrats. Super congrats. Oh, it's free. I was gonna complain about your pricing, but it's free. Shit. Damn it. You win this time. I believe it's a large amount of bots. Might be. I don't know how to I don't know if there is a way to combat that. You could have random captchas pop up while playing. That'll piss people off. Let's check Nier. Okay, so this is kind of an issue, right? You have a lot of red here. It, like, for instance, it costs 62% more than the recommended price in Mexico. Twice as much in Taiwan. So when you're looking at a game and if it's reasonably priced within your country, I do think that it's very important. Let me change the currency to US dollars as well. It's a bit more standardized. You want to make sure that if the developer is doing a good job, these should be blank or green. And if you look at a game like Stardew Valley, I'm going to guarantee that this game is probably mostly green or normal. Yeah. And you know why? Because the developer cares. So when we're pricing Golden Chronicles and all of our games, we will be probably just using this Valve suggested price. Because I think that that's the most reasonable. We don't want to fuck people over from whatever part of the world they're from. You know, here in Poland, games cost 60 euros, same as it would cost in like Great Britain or Germany, except we make a shit ton less money compared to them, and it's really unfair to Polish people. So, you know, we're just going to be a bit more reasonable about things. What's your favorite video game of all time? It's really hard to say. Really hard. It's better for me, like, what's your favorite game in this genre of all time? It's made for fun and expected 5 players, so I'm happy. You should be. That's really cool, dude. Congrats. You're on SteamDB's trending game page. That's incredible. You're not asking me about Fortnite. That's pretty cool. I hope I can be here one day. That's my hope. And maybe if I'm lucky, even in this category. Ooh, that would be pretty cool.
The contract. It's called Last Right of Refusal. Now, what you need to be aware of, which I did not, is some publishers won't deal with you. They just refuse to come to the table if it involves a last right of refusal. Because they're like, why would we go all the way through this negotiation process just to have some third party step in and go, yeah, we'll give you the same thing. And they automatically lose. And they can up their offer and the other company go, okay, we match that too. They just don't want to bother. They view that as a waste of their time. So if one of the things you got in your contract, if maybe you won the intellectual property rights, but the publisher kept last right of refusal on the sequel, keep in mind it's going to be very hard to find another publisher. So,
good to know. Very good to know.
The other thing you have to watch for is contracts usually contain the right for the publisher to terminate them at any time. And that seems kind of unbalanced. But since they're the ones paying, they may like not have money and they can't continue paying you, so they're just allowed to terminate it. Termination is different than breach. Termination is them going, the contract's over, we're just going to walk away.
Yeah, and that should mean that everything related to the game is given back to you, I believe.
We keep some stuff, you keep some stuff. Breach is you did something.
Oh no, it's not. Okay.
Terrible.
So they might keep some
There's
stuff.
a penalty associated with it. So
good to know.
Just so you know, the termination clauses, depending on what they are, combined with that last right of refusal, are really horrible things to have in the contract. So try to add a penalty for them terminating without cause. So if they just run out of money or for whatever reason just decide we're not going to continue with this, make sure there's some termination clause. Like if they walk away, they have to pay you like the next 3 milestone in payment. Or the IP rights revert to you. If they terminate the contract without a breach, you keep the rights. And you can put that out there and if they don't want to do that, you can be like, well, you're not going to terminate without cause, so this will never happen, right? So you might be able to get the rights that way. But let me just make sure that you...
Okay, don't play those during the video. We want to pay attention. It's surreal. I'm excited for your game because you are very talented. I love you. Oh, thank you so much, Zeno. I really appreciate that. That's exactly why we start. I don't know. I'm a very value-driven individual, right? So it's like all I want to do is make good games and sell them at an ethical price and be honest with people. Like I don't get why that's such a crazy thing in game dev, but apparently it is. So I don't know. Maybe it'll fail. I don't know.
You understand, if there's a breach clause, and a breach clause is you do something that lets them terminate with cause, make sure that that breach clause is as objective as you can make it. Something like you delivered the milestone more than 10 days late. Do not make it subjective like they just decided they didn't like it. Because they can always say that. They can make anything subjective into a breach clause. And then, oh, we didn't like it. Or, you know, you put something in that we think is people are going to find offensive. So we are marking you in breach and walking away. Now that's why Keyman is you want to avoid it because it's a very objective thing. They can go, hey, this person isn't working at your company anymore. You've breached. Another reason you want to keep it objective is there are a lot of things that can happen that, again, like the Keyman clause, that you have no control over. So if they breach because, you know, maybe a license got lost or the price of a license went up that you have to pay for, like maybe you're using a cinematic movie player that you bought from a third party, the price goes up and they're like, oh, well, we're breaching over that. That would be a terrible thing to happen. So
that would be bullshit,
have those breach clauses be spelled out and try to keep them as objective as possible.
That's good. That's a good point, though. That's very good.
I think that's all the things about contracts. And I mean, there's a lot of other things. You should have a good lawyer, have a lawyer review it. Don't just listen to me. But I would say those are the big things I'd be concerned about when you're entering into a contract with a publisher. I mean, there's a lot of other things, what percentage you get in royalty and when those kick in and all the other rights you're going to be negotiating. But those are the big ones, I think, that what I've just said. So hopefully this will help you if you're going to be negotiating with a publisher on a contract.
I like that. That's pretty cool. That was very helpful. Guys, please give Tim Cain some more subs. He makes so many good videos. I mean, I have so many added to my watch list. Like, you know, I want to know what like game flavor is. I think we need to watch like high level design direction. Or did we watch that one? I don't remember. No, we did watch that one. You know, writing characters, selling a game design spec is great. We could watch that. So he makes so many awesome videos and shares so much knowledge and does it in a very concise, entertaining way. I really like it.